All right, we are back. It's the New York Giants Squad Show. My name is Jay Berman, and welcome to the New York Giants Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. The padded practices, they continue down in West Virginia. Let's dive into all the details at training camp. Let's do it.
I'm Patricia Traina of Locked On Giants, and let's get into the nitty-gritty of practice.
I'm Mark Collins, two-time Super Bowl champion. Training camp. I hated it.
Let's go, Big Blue. It's the New York Giants Squad. Everything New York Giants every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the G-Men. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. The Giants Squad Show starts now.
All right, we are back. It is Patricia. It is Mark. It is Jay. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, trade on anything. It's the New York Giants Squad Show. And folks, we are fully immersed in training camp. Lots to do. We've got pads on. It's the real deal. Patricia in the leadoff spot. Obviously, things are beginning to ramp up down in West Virginia. Exciting times.
Oh, yeah. You know, Mark might hate training camp, but I actually love it because it's an opportunity to see, it's real football. This is as close as you're getting to real football. The pads are on. There's contact. Now people, all these people want to know, how's the defensive line looking? How's the offensive line looking? How's this team looking? Now you can get a better gauge and a better feel for how they're starting to look. And there are guys that are starting to kind of separate themselves from the pack. You've seen all spring long, it was all about learning. Now that we're in training camp, it's about executing. It's about, taking advantage of your opportunities, your reps, and just showing progress day in and day out. And that's what the Giants are looking to do. And, they've just today is going to be day number 2 of the padded practices. Harbaugh is going to get them in pads as much as the CBA allows. And I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I hated training camp. Number one, it was too damn long, first of all. Secondly, see, we didn't have that, what do you call it, the ramp-up period to put pads on. What the hell is that? Ramp-up period to put pads on to play a game that's a physical game. Didn't get it. And then where we were, a bit pace and then fairly ridiculous. And the humidity was ridiculous. Long camps, but it's needed. It's a necessary evil. But anyway, I'm glad the guys are in pads, and you got to set the pads on to get used to the tempo and the weight and all that kind of stuff. And you'll find out pretty quick, and we found out back in the day, who was willing to, what's the term, stick their face in the fan to make a hit when the pads are on. And these guys, you'll find out guys who are willing to do that with this camp. But yeah, now, Patricia, you're right. You get to see real football and see what players would want to be physical. You can see what the offensive and defensive linemen can do too, because without pads, you can't really get the engagement that you want. And that's why I think the pads are very important for those guys up front to sort of get a real physical presence and what they could do and dominate each other to get a good set on what they could do.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously we've seen a lot of get-togethers in the offseason without pads, sort of run-throughs, if you will, walkthroughs, if you will. All this stuff sends pads. Well, that's changed now, and as Patricia said, it's the perfect quote. It's real football, Patricia.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it doesn't count for anything, but to the coaches it counts because they're evaluating. What are we going to keep in? What do we need to adjust? Is this guy struggling to learn the system? And especially, this is a first-time coaching staff coming in for the Giants, a brand new coaching staff, I should say. They're not first-timers. Mm-hmm. But, the opportunity, you're learning, and you want to perfect it. You want to get better, a little bit better every single day so that come week 1, you hit the ground running, you look like you're in mid-season form.
It's really important, and I say this in playing defensive back and playing against receivers, having the pads on is no different than having the pads off. And I tell you, other than the actual weight of the pads, from 6 to 10 pounds, that's a different story. But it's needed for the run game, for the offensive and defensive linemen. That's where you got to set the tone, what you can do offensively, because everything starts with the run game. And once you start doing the 9-on-7s and start running plays against the defense, the interior front seven and offensive linemen, that's where you can really find out what you're going to do, what you're going to be, what your identity is going to be with the pads on. So it's a necessary need, and that's where, Patricia, you're at camp. You get to see that. You'll see more of that impetus on that run game in that 9-on-7 periods than one-on-one against receivers and DBs. It's more the interior line.
Obviously, there are a maximum amount of practices that are allowed with pads in consecutive days. Is that correct, Patricia? Exactly. Is it 6 days?
Yeah. 16 total for training camp, but the way it breaks down is you can have up to 3 in a row, and then you have to give them 3 calendar days off. So
right.
Harbaugh this week, today is going to be pad number 2 of 3. I expect they'll be in pads again on Wednesday, and then Harbaugh's already said Thursday is going to be kind of a mental day, which is otherwise known as a walkthrough type. And then I think they will next be in pads when they come back to New Jersey on Monday, because just the way the calendar kind of works out, they have Sunday off, and Saturday is their last practice at the Greenbrier. It's going to be a short practice. So then, next week they'll ramp it up again, and then it goes right into preseason.
I understand protecting the players. I'm all for player safety. But I think I know the new CBA says it can go over X amount of days. I get it. But I just think in the times that they have the pads on, I would maximize as much as I can to get as much work as I can, as much contact as I can with those pads on. Once again, especially with my defensive line and offensive line, I'll let those guys go maybe 2 or 3 periods of scripted plays so they can get the work in. The club med mentality that they're in right now is cool, but as long as you get the work in with the pads on, that's all I care about.
It's interesting, Mark, that you bring that up, because obviously there were some standouts yesterday, one in particular, and that's obviously Arvell Reese, who just absolutely shined. And what's interesting is that you can, one, be a rookie, but shine right away, especially with incumbents that are, some of them are Pro Bowlers, and yet he stood out, Patricia.
Yeah, he did. And, look, Arvell Reese, John Harbaugh's been talking him up since he walked in the building, that kid. And, you could do so much with him. And the more you can do and do well, the more options you give defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. So Wilson's got to be loving this. He's got to be absolutely loving this. You can put Reese over tackle. You can put him over guard. You can put him anywhere. You can even put him in the slot if you want to. And I think the biggest thing that has really impressed people is his coverage abilities. We knew that he was pretty good sideline to sideline, but how many times in the past have we seen tight ends over the middle or running backs coming over the middle, just shred the Giants inside linebackers? Reese is showing that he can keep up with these guys and he can stop them. And I fully expect that, the more he gets comfortable in this defensive system, the better he's going to play, and the less we're going to see opposing tight ends, running backs, receivers shred the middle of the defense.
Well, yeah, that's why I drafted him in the first round. Hell, I mean, he can play. And as long as he's showing what he can do and can do it consistently, let me back a little bit. In these camps, he's got to, and every rookie has got to maintain a level of competitiveness every day, every week. You got to keep that, maintain that level. And so far, he's been doing it, and camp has been early, and he's been doing it in pads. So the more he's consistent and can come up on run and drop back and pass and cover, the better off he is, and he can do it on a consistent level. He'll gain confidence. The coaches will gain more confidence in him, and his teammates will gain more confidence. So it's all up. It's all on the upside for him, and I wish him well.
What's interesting also is that the potential, and potential means a lot, but it's just potential. The potential for what this defense could be. Obviously, with Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, this unit adding in Reese. As we said, Patricia, it's dangerous because it's potential, but it doesn't mean it can't come true. It could be lethal.
Oh, absolutely. If they stay healthy, the sky is the limit. I mean, you get those guys going, you get the back end of the defense playing better, holding their coverage and whatnot. You get some push up front. And this defense, I've always felt that the Giants defense is borderline top 15, top 10 talent. They just haven't gotten it out of them because the scheme was just garbage the last couple of years.
Mhm.
This year, they're playing more, they have a scheme that's more aggressive, that better, puts these guys into a position to have more success. And I have no reason to believe that, if everybody stays healthy, that this defense can't be a top 10 unit.
I agree. Let's on paper they look very good. Not even know how the back end looks right now, but on paper they could be very, very good. Let's see how they look when they go up against the Dolphins in camp. Then you'll get a good picture of what they're trying to do, what scheme they're running, what all the players are like collectively. So, but on paper they look damn good. That front seven, I'll match them up with anybody, including the Rams, with a top defense. But on the back end, got to see how they play back there. But overall, based on the scheme that Wilson's trying to run, we'll see what they'll do. But right now, I think, without even looking at the whole team, that defense might be the best unit on the team, other than, behind of course, the offense is going to be second and then special teams. But that defense is pretty damn solid. Now, will the defense carry the offense? I don't know. It all depends on how the offense looks against the offense as well. We'll just see how that works out.
Perfect segue into joint practices and what I guess we need to see, or what we hope not to see, obviously injuries. But it was, I guess, originally two. Now it's just one. It's just the Dolphins. So what is our, I guess, expectations moving in with the understanding that we don't want anyone getting hurt, Patricia?
Yeah, I mean, the joint practice isn't for another couple of weeks, but I think the expectation is you want to look better than you did the week before. I mean, it's really very simple if you think about it. I mean, the Giants got the Minnesota Vikings up first, and then they go down to Miami, and they have the joint practice, and then the game with the Dolphins. But you want to start looking like you're in midseason form. You don't want to take a step backwards. There's been times in the preseason in the past where the Giants have looked good coming out of, in the first preseason game, and then they've gone totally backwards. So you don't want to see that. You want to see progress being made. You want to see a comfort level, maybe areas where guys might not totally be comfortable right now. You want to see them more comfortable against live competition. And that's the other thing. The advantage of playing or practicing, I should say, against another team, after a while, I'm sure it gets tiresome when you're hitting the same guys, seeing the same guys day in and day out. So now you've got a fresh perspective. So I think that's going to help rejuvenate the team a little bit, because it's a change of scenery. It's different faces. It's different, strategy and whatnot. And it's more challenging because you don't necessarily know what that other side's going to be doing. So I think it'll be a good test for the Giants when they get down there.
Yeah, so we got the preseason game against the Vikings. So you're gonna see a lot of vanilla coverages, a lot of basic stuff. They're not gonna throw in the whole kitchen sink. It's gonna be easy, one or two plays on coverages on defense, whatever. But that's how you gotta start it. You gotta find out what these guys can do offensively or defensively against other talent. That's first and foremost. Been there, done that. And then when you do the joint practices, that's where you get to work on some stuff. And you can hide some stuff from your opponents because you don't want to show everything, even though these games against the Vikings will be televised to the New Jersey area, New York area, and in the Minnesota area, but those tapes are accessible to everybody in the league. In joint practices, that's content that the teams own, so they can be more, experimental and do other things. But yeah, either way, the Giants are going to find out what players can do what based on who they're playing against in the other competition. So I look forward to it. I always look forward to preseason games. Though I hated camp, I loved playing against other people because, in camp, I'm playing against Lionel Manuel, Phil McConkey, Stephen Baker. I know what they're going to do. They know what I'm going to do. And after a while, you just go, hell, okay. Yeah. And sometimes it gets a little hostile out there. You're a little pushing and shoving because, damn it, why are you doing this? We throw balls at each other, and then we go eat dinner and lunch afterwards. But you get tired of that stuff. But when new competition comes, it's a whole new deal. And you can really do other things that they don't know about. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we are 15 minutes into the books. We have a second block coming up your way on this New York Giants squad show. We'll examine the offense, which, believe it or not, struggled yesterday with quite a few penalties. We'll get into it next. It's Patricia, it's Mark, it's Jay. It's the New York Giants squad show. All right, let's tell you about BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has been a widely used online therapy platform, and today the focus is on why so many people continue to choose it. If you're curious, you can actually see what people are saying by visiting BetterHelp. It's .com/reviews. Again, that's betterhelp.com/reviews, where real customer reviews are updated every single day. BetterHelp has an average life therapy session rating out of 4.9 out of 5, based on more than 1.7 million client session reviews, and hearing directly from people who have used the service helps paint a clearer picture of why so many continue to recommend it. More than 6 people globally have used BetterHelp. To get started, you answer a few questions, get matched with a therapist based on your needs, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time. BetterHelp therapists have at least 3 years and 1,000 hours of hands-on experience, along with the required education, training, and certifications. Talk about why hearing from real customers helps you feel more informed before trying something new. Encourage listeners to visit betterhelp.com/reviews to see what stands out to them instead of relying on a single opinion. See the reviews, see what stands out, and see if BetterHelp is right for you. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's better, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, we are back. It is the New York Giants squad show. It is Jay. It is Patricia. It is Mark. And we'll do the offense now after a rough day. A lot of penalties, quite a few penalties. In fact, not exactly the way we wanted to start things on offense, Patricia, but it is what it is. And today is day 2.
Yeah, 14 penalties altogether, I think. Ugh. Not just on offense, but on defense too. So let's not leave them out of the mix. I think the defense, I want to say, had 4 of them, if I remember correctly. But anyway, yeah, I mean, John Harbaugh, it's interesting because I just wrote about this morning. John Harbaugh talked about, it's the first day in pads, guys are getting used to it. And plus, yesterday was a downpour for a good, hour. I want to say close to an hour. Ooh. So, hey, we're in pads. It was raining and stuff like that. And, I kind of took a little different approach to, or had a different reaction, I should say, to the whole excuse. I mean, yeah, they're in pads, but it's not like it's the first time they've ever put pads on, number one. And number 2, you're going to have to play in the elements. So what are you going to do? Next time it rains and you're in a game and you have 14 penalties, you say, oh, well, it was the elements. I got to think that Harbaugh wasn't happy with that. He didn't want to blast the team, but I have to believe that he was not happy with the sloppiness because, a lot of those penalties were pre-snap penalties. That's concentration. That's not because of the pads or the elements. That's concentration. So I have a feeling you're going to see that cleaned up significantly starting today.
Yeah, well, it's day 1 in the pads. I get it. It's really like a concentration. You're right. It's just, and I'll just say this. Sometimes when you go from shorts and shirts and then the elements that you're in, I know it's raining, but you're in that country club mentality, I think it plays a part into that first practice. Some guys got a little lackadaisical, and it went onto the field. And you can't have that. Now, if you have one day of it, okay, done. We're good. Let's go. Let's get going. Let's go. So if it happens 2 or 3 more days, there's a problem. And I think John would nix that in the bud, and it won't happen again. And if the problems are pre-snap penalties or some ticky-tack stuff, you could clean that up. But if you don't, it becomes a pattern. And that's where it could get dangerous.
And dangerous because Jaxson Dart is the quarterback, and he needs to take control there. Again, one day, and we are over-analyzing literally everything. But that being said, hey, it's a reflection of the quarterback when the offense can't get going there, Patricia. So he needs to take ownership there as well, and he needs to be better.
Well, not just Dart. It could be the offensive line. Maybe they're jumping offside too. So let's not put it all on Dart. But, the reason why I think we're mentioning this is last year, the Giants they were ranked first in pre-snap penalties on the offense. I'm sorry, second. They were off by one. And then the defense was tied for first in pre-snap penalties. So it was a problem last year. And it's kind of like, almost like how we become, or certain people have become conditioned to like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it that the Giants are better. And it's like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it that they're more disciplined and they're playing with discipline. Now, to be fair, yesterday, I think was just, an exception to the rule because they basically have been clean with, the execution with limited penalties and stuff like that. So it's very odd that you see 14 penalties in a practice. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. That said, the concentration needs to be sharper. I don't care what the elements are. I don't care that you're in pads. It's not like this is your first rodeo. It's not like this is the first time you've ever had to play in rain. Focus, lock in and focus. And I think the players will do just that. And it'll be a lot cleaner moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not going to panic on the first day. But if you got the core group of guys who are on this team with their last year and the same stuff is happening, you got to say, well, okay, then that's what John has got to step up and, do what he's got to do to make that stop happening. But I'm not going to panic on that. If the first day of practice and pads and that happened, okay, you got the same core group of guys in there, got it. Whether it's the offensive line, speaking on offense, and I'm not trying to blame Jaxson Dart, but damn it, he's the quarterback. And it all starts with him. And he's not playing Pop Warner ball or SEC ball. You're the quarterback of the New York Giants. It all falls on you offensively. 14 penalties on offense, whatever it's been, false starts or whatever it is, alignment issues, that's on you. So if I was offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy, and I was John Harbaugh, I got to make sure, I got to make an example of these penalties happening on the offense. I got to get over my quarterback's ass. I have to. I got to set the tone with him first, so the offensive line and everybody else can see that it's on him. Let's get this stuff started off right. It's on you. Okay, you take control of it. That's on you. So that's what I would do on defense. Same thing. Whoever the captain, the leader over there is, grab him too. Make sure everybody's lined up. In the huddle, I'm making the calls. I give the front, the coverage. Don't watch your alignment. Check. Don't be offsides. Whatever. I'm doing that as a captain or as whatever's leader. That's what I have to do. So it starts on leadership on the guys on the field. So that's got to be addressed. And if it's not addressed now and it keeps happening, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. You certainly don't want to see patterns formed here. Today, if there's good weather and you have 14 penalties and some fumbles, perhaps that's a little bit more disturbing than it was yesterday. Lucky to get it out of the way. Let's do it now. Let's not do it during games. Let's not do it during the seasons. And we'll fix this, Patricia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's time to push the panic button. But, that being said, you do want to have these practices get better each day. You don't want to go backwards. And I think this is just, an exception to the rule. I mean, everybody has an off day. Just so happens that yesterday, a lot of people had an off day. Mm-hmm. But moving forward, you want to clean it up. You want to show that the concentration's there. And look, I have no doubts that they will get it straightened out, that they will fix it. I mean, it happens. Every team goes through it at one point or another where they look just totally, disjointed and a mess. And, Harbaugh's done a lot of good things with this team, and this team has responded well to them. I think going forward, they're going to be a lot crisper with the football and a lot more true to their assignments.
See, Patricia and Jay, usually a practice like that happens third, fourth week of training camp. One day, because when the training camp was long, you start off a little slow, you get better, and then there's one day, and I've been through many of them, 13 camps. It always happens. You have a day when stuff just doesn't go right. You can't cover anybody. You can't block anybody. The offense looks awful, like a junior varsity team. The defense looked like a peewee team. And I've been through it with Parcells, and he's ready to kick people off the field. You got fans booing. And this is practice. This is training camp. And your legs are heavy. Your mind is elsewhere. And you just wasted 2.5, 3 hours of practice, and you go in after getting chewed out by the coach, and he's going, this stuff cannot happen again. We just spent 3 weeks of looking damn good, and we look like we never put on pads before in our lives. That usually happens, once again, week 2, 3 of training camp, after 2 days, when your legs are gone, right? But to have a bad practice in the front like this, I didn't see it. Patricia, you were there, and I can only go by what I heard and what you say. Is it a cause for panic? No. But can they get better? Yeah. If they have another day like this down the line, I would panic. Not now, because it's only one day. But usually you get days like this, like I said before, 2 or 3 weeks in training camp, back in the old days. And then we follow up with the next morning practice, and we get cast again. We're good. So and that happens. It just happens. But if it happens more than, if it happens today and tomorrow and the next couple of days, I would worry. I won't. But since these guys and Harbaugh and those guys, they know the patterns. They'll fix it. So they'll fix it. So I'm not really worried about it. I won't panic. I won't worry too much about it.
It's interesting. You could go one of two ways. Harbaugh could, jump up and down and yell and curse and do all that stuff. Or he could take a step back, do that privately with the team where no one in the media could see it. But, it's almost like we're feeling out for which Harbaugh we're going to get. And he was tested right away because the team was so bad yesterday. At least the offense was so bad yesterday. Hey, the pressure's on for everybody, Patricia, including the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, look, the players know that they made a mistake. They know they screwed up. What good is Harbaugh popping his cork and screaming at them? What good is that really going to accomplish at the end of the day? I mean, it's one thing if a guy doesn't know that he made a mistake and the coach comes over and says, hey, look, you're doing this and we need you to do that. Or the guy makes a mental error and he should know better. But penalties, nobody wants them. I get it, but they do happen. And, compared to last year and the year before that, you would see coaches pop their cords and go ballistic when when it would get sloppy. I mean, I can remember one year a coach pulling the players off to the side and chewing them out because they were making mistake after mistake. So no, Harbaugh's taking a more measured approach. He's saying, look, guys, let's take a deep breath. Let's, regroup here and let's go back out there. Let's do it right. I know you can do it right because I've seen you do it right. Let's just, forget about it and just go forward.
Yeah, in public, he won't do it. He won't berate him in public, but in private, absolutely, because this is something you don't expect the front end of camp. You don't expect a bad practice with all the work they put in the OTAs and all the mini camps and stuff like that, and they were pretty much on point how they ran the offensive defense, all the stuff, all the implementation of all the offensive defense, and then to have a practice like this, whether it's bad weather, first day of pads or whatever, to have a bad practice like that, that's unacceptable. And that's what John is going to address the team tonight, tomorrow, whatever. This can't happen. That's a disappointment where he sees all the work they put in from February into the start of camp, and then this is what we do when we put pads on. That's unacceptable. So that's where the ass chewing is going to come in the locker room or in the meeting room, because that can't be done. Now, like I said before, if that happens week 2 or 3 in training camp, when your legs are tired, your mind is drained, and the focus isn't there, I get it. But the first day of pads, that's unacceptable. So that's where John's going to make sure he nips it in the bud because of what he saw that during that first practice in pads.
All right, we are halfway home on this New York Giants Squad Show. When we return, we'll try and figure out what the expectations should be for practice number 2, considering how practice number 1 went. We'll move forward with it immediately following this short break. All right, let's tell you about Square. Today's episode is sponsored by Square. If you've ever tapped to pay and thought, whoa, that was fast, well, it probably was Square. Whether you're selling lattes, cutting hair, running a packed game day spot, or managing a design studio, well, Square helps you run your business without running yourself into the ground. Square is the platform behind the scenes of so many businesses you already love. One connected system to take payments, manage inventory, run payroll, and track it all in one place. And businesses using Square Online earn 36% more revenue on average. There's nothing worse than missing a big play because you're stuck waiting to pay. The spots that run on Square never have that problem. Quick checkout, easy receipts, sometimes even loyalty points. Love that. If you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. Right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/lockedonnfl. That's SQUARE.com/go/LOCKEDONNFL. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. All right, we are back. As we said, pressure's on for practice number 2. Patricia, obviously, we expect Harbaugh to get the message across about yesterday's, whatever you want to call it, yesterday's practice. Obviously, he probably didn't expect that to happen day one, but he's there for a reason. We gave him $100 million for a reason. Let's press on practice number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. Look, forget about it. Learn from it. Forget about it. Don't dwell on it. And focus on what's ahead. Be better than you were yesterday. And that's really the message that I think every coach at any level and any sport will tell their players. You know, you had a bad day. Everybody happens. We're human, you know. Wow, newsflash, right? So just go back, regroup, clear your mind, and get, win today. And I want to just add something to what Mark said. Mark talked about, heavy legs and whatnot. You've got to remember something, Harbaugh's practices are not, they're very packed. They're very dense in terms of you don't have a whole lot of breaks. There's not, you've got water breaks and everything as needed, but there's not a lot of downtime. So maybe, and I'm not trying to make an excuse here, but maybe guys are like, okay, you know what? We're tired and now we got the pads on and maybe the legs were starting to get a little heavy, but it's like the first time you go through a practice and you're sore because, you haven't been hit, you haven't gone through, all the physical stuff. And now you got to get used to it. So now that they've gotten that out of the way, win today, then win tomorrow and the next day, and just keep stacking good days.
Yeah. And you remember, we're talking about the whole team as a collective. So in the whole totality of that practice, there had to have been some plays in there when the practice got going that some guys made some plays. So the evaluation process still went on. It's not like the whole practice was a bust, was crap. So I'm pretty sure there was some plays that some DBs made or some linebackers made or some runs that running backs made, some receivers making catches, whatever. There's some good that came out of that practice. It wasn't totally a bad day. But on the collective, it was because no matter how big the plays or what plays were made, they were pretty much offset by penalties. So that's the part where John's got to come in and kind of fix that. And hopefully it was just a one-off of all the work they put in from the OTAs and mini camps. And I'm pretty sure it will be. So it'll get fixed. But the players, I'm pretty sure they bought into the system. That's not even in debate. But it's how they come back tomorrow and finish this thing off and get ready to go, because you got to clean up that little stuff. And if you don't, it sets into the mind. It's like you paint something and it's nice. And oh, that's a great paint job. And there's a speck of sand there. And if you don't get rid of that sand, it messes up the whole paint job. You got to redo the whole thing and make sure it's perfect. So I think John will do that. And I'm not worried about the Giants and the penalty, that kind of stuff. They'll fix that, because I know John and that coaching staff, that's what they do. And the players that they have, they'll buy in and get it done, and it should be no problem.
Specifically looking at players on offense that perhaps other teams, other players, other people are looking past, that's Tyrone Tracy. And we're very interested to see what kind of running attack the Giants forge ahead with this year. And He's overlooked. He's perhaps underutilized, but I think the Giants have a pretty good one in Tyrone Tracy there. Do you not think so, Patricia?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say that he's underutilized. I mean, the guy gets his share of touches, but he kind of gets lost in the headlines because he's not out there like Cam Scatterboo is. I mean, not to knock Scatterboo, but Scatterboo lately has been drawing headlines for kind of reasons outside of football, if you know what I mean. Tracy's not drawing those headlines because he's kind of doing his thing. But look, as far as this running back room goes, I think it has the potential to be the new Thunder and Lightning. I mean, everybody remember Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw? I mean, that was a duo that worked. There was, Brandon Jacobs was technically the starter, but Bradshaw played a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see that now with this duo of Cam Scatterboo and Tyrone Tracy. Scatterboo being the Thunder, Tracy being the Lightning. And then you've got Devin Singletary. Don't forget about him. Singletary's probably the best pass blocking running back that they have, which is important, on those third downs. So that all being said, it's going to be a committee approach. This isn't going to be the Cam Scatterboo show. This isn't going to be the Tyrone Tracy show or the Devin Singletary show. This is going to be a committee, which is what you want. You want to mix it up. You want to attack the defense in different ways. let Scatterboo pound the heck out of them, tire them out. And then Tracy, with that quickness and that elusiveness that he has in his game, let him let him finish them out. And, I think it's going to be successful for them if they stay healthy.
I think they all bring a unique element to the run game. They all can catch the ball in the backfield. Tracy's I think he's a better blocker. He knows the blitz pickups, all that kind of stuff. Scatterboo is getting there. They all add something to the mix. And it's something that defenses can't really focus in on. Just one guy. You got three guys who are good at all three things. One may be better than picking up the blitz than the other. One's quicker than the other. And one guy's a big bruiser who has good speed and power. So that's a great balance. And as a defensive player, that's something I don't like. So imagine, you got guys like that. So I think they all bring a different element to the offense. And they're all good. Based on what kind of run game they're going to have, I think the Giants are pretty solid in that running back room.
Patrick Ricard adds something that the Giants
forgot about him.
To be honest, no team has. I mean, because he's 700 pounds and runs fast. The point being, that is a huge piece to the running game, Patricia.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's also not forget Greg Roman and his fingerprints being all over that running game. Tyrone Tracy talked about what Roman is bringing to the table, and basically, it's a simplified running scheme, but there are multiple ways that you can attack it, whether they decide to pull the left guard, whether they decide to pull the left guard in the center. There's different approaches. It's basically kind of the same concepts, but with different choices, if you will, depending on the situation and the matchup and whatnot. So Greg Roman, that's going to be a big factor in this run game and why I think it's going to be a lot better. I mean, look, last year, everybody says, the Giants were ranked fifth. They had the fifth best rushing attack. Take out the contributions by the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And the Giants actually ended up ranking, I think, somewhere around 13th or 14th if you took out the yardage contributed by Jaxson Dart on those designed runs. This now, the Giants running game has a legitimate chance to be a top 5 unit. They have a chance to maybe reduce some of the designed runs that were called for Jaxson Dart, who, as we know, fearless, he's going to put his head down and because he's so competitive. And I just think it's going to create for a better balance moving forward.
The Giants will have a power running game. Look what Baltimore did last year. I know they got King Henry down there, but it's going to be a power running game, and they got the backs to do it. They can run inside that power hole, off the 6 hole and off the 4 hole, or they could get outside with Tracy and Singletary. They got guys who could do it. So it's going to be a power running game. And most of the power runs are going to be from under center. So it's not going to be a shotgun handoff and the running back trying to find a hole. It's going to be Jaxson Dart under center. They're going to line up in the eye with Ricard or Scatterboo at fullback and Tracy or Singletary tailback, and they're going to run a power game. There'll be an inside trap or whatever. They're going to run at you. And once they start dominating that line of scrimmage with the running game, then comes the play action. So that's what I see. Just what they did in Baltimore last year, and I know they had King Henry down there. They're different backs, but the scheme is going to be the same. If you can run the ball effectively on a team and kill the clock as well, and wear teams down defensively, it opens up the passing game. So that's what I'm looking for them to do. Run with power and play action.
Can run with power please mean that Jaxson Dart isn't running head first once on every drive? And you know what? It's one of those things where Harbaugh's not going to tell him that in front of all of us. But I'm curious if you think he's already said that to Jaxson. That's not happening this year. Patricia, take it away.
I think that conversation's been had multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you don't want to totally remove that element from the game because it is an asset. That's kind of stupid to say, oh, we're not going to have Jaxson Dart run. But you want to do it strategically. You don't want to lean on it. And that's what they did last year prior to Jaxson Dart getting hurt with a concussion. They leaned on that. I think he was averaging something like 5 or 6 design runs a game. That's kind of a lot for your quarterback. I mean, come on. And then when what's funny is once they adjusted that, the running game actually performed better after, they cut back on some of that stuff. So look, you've got running backs for a reason. Let them do the heavy lifting. Your quarterback, yes, once in a while, if you need him to run just to catch the defense off guard or to remind him, hey, you've got to account for the quarterback, fine. That's fine. Yeah. If you need Jaxson Dart to scramble, to get out of harm's way, buy time, no problem. But to send them on 5 to 6 design runs a game, come on.
That'll be a lot. Just what I said a couple of shows ago, Josh Allen. They have design runs for Josh Allen. That guy's going to be out of the league in about 4 or 5 years, but I digress. If Jaxson Dart has a run like that, he won't last long in the league. You run him, it's like break glass in case of emergency, okay? Let these guys behind you do all the work. Use your running backs, run the ball as much as you can with those guys. Let them get the yards for you. If you have to run to extend the play, to throw the ball downfield, fine. And if there's nothing down there, and if you want to run the ball, cool, run. I'm not going to say protect yourself anymore. He's a grown-ass man, okay? He's got to learn that stuff on his own. And I know the coaches told him everything. I know his mom and dad told him the same damn thing. You got to protect yourself. If you can't do it, you won't be playing anymore in this league. So run the ball only if you have to, young man. That's it. Let these guys behind you run the ball. They're good enough. They get paid. They get a check as well. That's their job. Your job is to stay healthy, handle the ball, and throw the ball downfield. That's all you got to do. And in case of emergency, then we'll break that glass, and then you can run. That's what I would tell them.
It's interesting because Ricard will obviously help the running game. Isaiah likely will absolutely enhance the passing game. It's something that, they're of likely. I think this is going to be a huge, huge boost there for the Giants, Patricia.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, the more you've got guys who you can do multiple things with, now you've got options if you're the coaches. And hey, isn't it nice to have a bunch of options and to say, okay, this week we're going to maybe do this versus this week we're going to do that. You keep people off balance, and it also helps you stay one step ahead of your competition because now they can't go back and look at the trends and say, oh, the Giants have been doing A, B, C, and D the last 6 weeks, so that's what we should expect. So I like the fact that they've got guys who can do, they can mix things up with and do different things and just, good luck trying to find a trend. I mean, I like to look for trends in what teams do. I think this year it's going to be a challenge to do that with this Giants team.
Yeah, I mean, you got Isaiah Likely. He's a flexible tight end. He's going to cause some problems, some matchup problems. And you marry that with a running game, play action comes into play. He comes into play. Johnson comes into play. All these guys comes into play. You can't be predictable. And if you are predictable, let me back up a little bit. With the Giants, when we played, we were predictable, but we were dominant. This team, I don't know what their identity is. I don't know if they're dominant yet. And in today's league, dominance is a different word because dominance is based on the quarterback. Is 4 or 5 years ago, these guys are throwing the ball all over the lot. Now teams are going back to running the ball. That it's cyclical. This is just change. So where's your dominance going to come from? I think that the Giants can create some kind of dominance in running the ball and not being predictable. Likely will come into play. That play action that comes into play. They're going back in time in today's NFL. So that's what you do. And really, that's what John did last year. His last year's in Baltimore. They were dominant in running the ball, and they were damn good at it. So can he bring that to the Giants now? So that's how I look at it. Can you be dominant in running the ball to get an Isaiah Likely or the receiving core involved in the passing game?
All right, we have one break left to take. When we return, we'll close things out by discussing all things John Harbaugh. It's exactly what the Giants needed. They got him. He was tested on the first day because of a lousy practice. We'll break it all down. Coming up next. All right, lastly, we'll tell you about Kalshi. Baseball season is here, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every single game. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app, use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi, trade on anything. Again, for a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to get $10 when you trade 10. You have to be over 18 only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ for those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. All right, we'll close things out here on this New York Giants squad show. It's Patricia, it's Mark, it's Jay, it's John Harbaugh's team now. And what's funny is they were all tested yesterday because of the, for lack of a better term, lousiness of the practice. But we have the man we needed for the job. And that's where it ends because John Harbaugh puts a stop to it, Patricia.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about it before that, right now everybody's in the honeymoon phase. Everybody, everything looks good. But what's going to happen when adversity strikes? Now yesterday, was that a form of adversity? Yeah, kind of. We've had other, things pop up, whether it be injuries, whether it be, what happened in the spring with the Scatterboo backflips, whatever. And Harbaugh, time and time again, has proven that he has a handle on these things, that he can address the adversity and keep things from splintering. And I think that is the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing that Giant fans can feel really good about, because this guy is not going to panic. He's not going to lose his stuff and go, oh my God, we're in trouble. And just, suddenly now it's like you're grasping for straws or you're trying to stay afloat on the ocean. No, John Harbaugh has stayed cool, calm. He addresses it, doesn't bring it out into the public, which is fine. And they just keep rolling right along. And that's what you look for in a leader.
Oh, absolutely. Now, knowing what John, his history and what the Giants been through in the offseason, doing their mini camps, the OTAs, the mistakes, it was happy-go-lucky, the honeymoon period, as you said before. Now you get this close to the season. Now it's time to get serious. And the disappointment part for the fans and John, when they had a bad practice, this is where the players got to realize, hey, you know what? We really effed up. We got to get going, because this time, before you know it, we're kicking off against Dallas in a few weeks. We can't have this problem. This can't go into deeper into training camp, And I'm not talking to the first preseason game or first game. I'm talking tomorrow. This got to stop. So the panic level if it were a young coach, I would panic. I'm not going to lie. I would panic. But since it's Harbaugh, I'm like, no, he'll fix it. He's seen this before. He's done it before, been there. This will be fixed by tomorrow. I promise you. If you're anybody else, a younger coach who came out of college or was a special teams coach who got a head coaching job or whatever, I would panic. Now, not so much. And the players, they know it because I know John's going to get the message to them. They'll clean it up, so I'm not worried about that. They'll fix it, and tomorrow will be a different deal.
It's interesting because there are a few Ravens on the roster that can sort of, I guess, help other guys sort of commiserate with exactly how John Harbaugh handles things, be it Likely, be it Ricard, be it the punter. So there are guys there that can help, Patricia, because they know John Harbaugh.
Yeah, I mean, they can certainly tell guys, look, if this happens or as situations pop up, this is what you can expect. But, this is kind of how you would want things. Even if you haven't had experience with John Harbaugh before, this is what you would want. You don't want somebody getting in your face and screaming at you in front of the reporters and the fans. You don't want somebody, giving you attitude or saying, hey, you're no good, get off my team, or kicking you out of practice. You want somebody who's going to stay calm. And, John Harbaugh, when he was talking, I forget where it was, but he made a comment. He says a mistake a lot of young head coaches and first-time head coaches make is they overreact to things. And you can't do that. There's a time and a place to really pop your cork. And these little things that are popping up now, they're really par for the course if you think about it. I mean, every team goes through it to some degree. Every team has a guy who, maybe does something that he shouldn't do. Every team has a bad day of practice now and then. And Harbaugh just keeps it real. He says, look, guys, we can't have this, but I'm not going to get, I'm not going to lose my, what over this. We're going to fix it. We're going to be better. We're going to win the next day and the day after that. And we're going to play our brand of Giants football.
Well, that's what I meant. When any other coach, a young coach, I would have like, oh man, we got to see what happens tomorrow. I don't know. This becomes a pattern. But with John's seen it all. He's been there, done that. I think he didn't expect what he saw yesterday, first in pads. He wasn't expecting that. I'm pretty sure he was expecting a better practice. I'm sure of that. But he was surprised at what he saw, so he's going to fix it. Any other coach, I would have like, you know what, we got a problem. But him, he'll fix it. I'm not panicking about it. And as far as a coach berating players in front of fans and media, those days are gone. You will never see that again in the National Football League. Back in the day, the Tom Coughlin's, the Parcells, even though they did it out of love, but they did it, and that was the way the league was. Now I think some of these players are getting their feelings, and they don't want their feelings hurt, and I get that too. And players coaches make adjustments, knowing how to handle people. Get that as well. So you won't see that, and John won't do that regardless. He may do. I seen other coaches do it in jest, and Parcells did it in jest as well. He was calling players, "Oh, what's wrong with her? She's hurt," and that was all out of respect. Some players took that out of context. Oh, he's calling me whatever. No, dude, that's not what he's doing. But some players got their feelings hurt. So you won't see that anymore. But John would go and talk to the team, address the team privately, and speak his piece and get his point across.
It's interesting. It makes you appreciate the day that Arvell Reese had. Now, obviously, it wasn't on offense. That's where most of the troubles were. But the fact that there was a less than satisfactory practice and the rookie dominated, sky's the limit, Patricia. I mean, let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think we all are, to be honest with you. I mean, Arvell Reese had a good practice. CeCe Malinois had a good practice. Malachi Fields has been lighting it up. I mean, you've had a bunch of guys that have actually been standing out that you're like, wow, the future looks really, really bright. But, to your point, Arvell Reese, I was thinking about this before we came on the air. I was thinking, gosh, this draft class is so different to last year's draft class. And by that, I mean, if you notice, you don't hear a whole lot from this draft class. The guys are very, quiet, if you will. They're not flashy. They're all business-like. They go out there, they do their thing. Whereas last year's draft class, you had a bunch of larger-than-life personalities. Now, that doesn't mean it can't work. It doesn't mean they can't all peacefully coexist and be great. But the difference between this year's class, especially at the top of the class, and last year's, it's to me, I noticed it, and I like the quieter version because that means these guys are keeping their heads down. They're focused on the task at hand. They're not worried at this point about building up their brand and, being seen and being heard all over the place. And I kind of like that approach. But then again, I'm old school, so.
No, I get you. Well, the second-year players are doing all that brand stuff. But I digress, Scatterby and Dart. But anyway. But no, that's what I said earlier. In the totality of the practice, we're talking about how the penalties or whatever. But in the totality of the practice, there were some plays being made. Reese and DBs, people making plays. So we can't take the whole practice and go, well, it was disappointing. It was bad. There's some good plays being made. They got some good film out of it. The coaches could look at the film and see this person made plays, that person made plays. We got to clean this up. We got to make some adjustments on there. There's always learning points to be made. And as far as the young players coming in now and really focusing and playing up to a level that the coaches expect, some of the veterans expect, and some of the fans expect, that's a reflection of the coaching staff. You take last year's coaching staff, most of these guys came in, they act like they've been in the league for 10 years. You look at the guys who came in this year, you can't hardly hear a peep out of them. You don't. You don't see the social media stuff blasting or none of that stuff. Now, once again, the second-year players who came in under the last year's regime, those guys are doing the social media stuff and backflipping or whatever. I don't like that. But they're there. These guys come in now, these guys are focused. They're going to hell with this. We want to contribute. We want to play. We got a job to do. And that's what I love about the new coaching staff compared to the old coaching staff.
Let's close with this because this is interesting, and it got me thinking. Bijan Robinson gets an extension. Zay Flowers gets an extension. Chris Olave gets an extension. And I'm wondering the impact that those huge deals have on the younger players, especially early in training camp. Like, that guy just got paid. That's what I want. It has to have an impact on the players that, yes, they all make a lot of money, but that have not gotten that $100 million contract yet, Patricia.
Yeah. Excuse me. It serves as a motivation. If you're a running back, if you're a Tyrone Tracy or Cam Scatterby and you see that, it's like, well, he got it. I'm going to work my tail off because I want that. And I want to be, paid even more. I think Bijan Robinson, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he now the highest paid running back in the league?
Yep.
Past Saquon Barkley. Yep. So, the numbers keep going up if you think about it. So, yeah, it absolutely serves as motivation. Now, in the case of the Giants, they've got a lot of guys yet who are not quite eligible to talk about their contracts. Win something first. Do something besides, your off-the-field stuff that you're doing, all these commercials and social media events and whatnot. Do something first and then talk about it. Bijan Robinson, very good player. Even though the Falcons haven't really been good, Bijan Robinson deserved it. Chris Olave, it was rumored that they were looking to move him. They worked it out with him. They realized he was important for Tyler Shuck in his development. So, that's how it all falls together. And I think, if you use this as motivation, your time will come. If you just put the time in, do it the right way, and deliver.
Put yourself in a position to get that. That's all. Don't worry about what they got. You got to put you just stack your own chips. Stack your chips, stack your yards, do things the right way. Put yourself in that position so when your time comes, you can say, okay, this is what I'm worth this now. Or how much are you willing to pay? That's it. That's all you got to do.
All right, awesome stuff, and we'll leave it right there. We're all hope for $100 million one day. The Giants' very first preseason game is August 15th. That's Saturday against the Vikings. Should be fun. We will return next week in our customary spot on Tuesday. Good stuff, really interesting stuff, and there'll be plenty more over the next week. For Patricia and Mark, I'm Jay. This has been the New York Giants Squad Show. Let's go Giants. We'll see you next week.